You know, everybody knows Hans Ray. We had the chance to ask him to meet him at Eurobike 2010 to ask him a few questions about his life and what he's doing. So first of all, what age did you start mountain biking and with what specific type of bike?
I started mountain biking when I was 20 years old, when I first came to America, and it was on a GT Karakoram was my first time. Actually, the first time I rode on an Ibis bike, an Ibis with 24-inch back wheel and 26 front wheel.
Right.
But I started riding when I was 12. I started riding trials, and that's when I lived in Europe, and I grew up in the sport of trials. And when I was 20, I moved to America, and that's when I got introduced to the mountain bike world. I started competing in trials when I was 12, and I did the whole European circuit. But then that was on an amateur basis. And when I went to America, I thought, wow, this is probably the end of my career. So I'm gonna just visit America, check it out. And then I got opportunities from GT and from Swatch. They wanted to sponsor me, so I said, I can make this for 1 year, travel America, learn the language, see the country.
Right.
And out of 1 year it became 2 years, 3 years, and 24 years later I'm still riding as a pro, I'm still with GT, and I'm living in America. The sport exploded, it changed a lot, you know, but it's nice to see the whole evolution of the sport and how it has developed from the early days. Just the technology alone, the bikes, you know, the suspension and the disc brakes and all the materials. It has come so long the way, and it made the riding much more comfortable and easier. I mean, try to jump off from 2 meters on an old bike, you know, and then you do it on a new bike and it's nothing, you know. So a lot of things have changed, but also the sport has grown up, and the sport goes into many different directions. And it's kind of beautiful because mountain biking is an individual sport, and anybody and everybody can do it how they want to do it. And now there's something for everybody. There's cross country, there's downhill, there's trials, there's free ride, and within each category there's like 5 or 7 subcategories. And then also besides competitions, there's just like recreational or transportation or fitness or health or you know, all these other benefits, you know. So it's awesome, and it continues growing, and I think it's gonna continue developing and growing over the next years, like with electric bikes and with free ride, with bike parks and with flow country and with all these different new trends and materials.
We are looking forward to the moment when these will come also to Romania, like the bike parks. They are just starting to develop in a few cities. They are starting to build them, but still mostly on the mountains, which are, you know, like trails you make on your own and things like that.
Well, at every beginning is difficult. Even over in Europe and America, where mountain biking is very established, it's still difficult for the people to understand that we bikers, we need our own trails. You know, hiking trails and fire roads are okay, but it can be much better if we have good trails. And I guarantee you, in 10 years from now, we're gonna have bike parks in Romania. I guarantee you. I know it's coming. It's just a matter of, it takes time, and sometimes in places like Romania it takes even more time, but it also takes individuals who make it happen. And to start, and the beginning is always difficult, and at the beginning it might take some volunteers, but once there's some trails and people see it and see how popular they are, then everybody wants it and something starts moving.
Have you been to Romania?
No,
So
never.
far? No.
Never. It's on my list to check off. Honestly, I care if it's good or not. So, you know, I understand. I have a fair knowledge of the technology and how it works, which is important, and I also test a lot of products for my sponsors. So from that point of view, I need to know, but I don't need to exactly know how the chamber works and the air goes in and out. You know, this is something. But the bottom line is for me that it works, and I'm always interested in new trends and stuff, even if people are very skeptical about them at the beginning. It's worth to look into it, and it's worth to learn something from them. So the technical side of the things is very important, and I mean, look at this trade show here. How many cool things you find here and see, and the news.
It's almost too much to swallow.
It is overwhelming. Yeah. Well, No Way Ray came from when I first came to America. My first name is Hans Jörg, and nobody can pronounce it. So when I first came to America, I thought I'm only here for a couple months. Just call me Ray. So everybody called me Ray. And then they would show me always some challenges for my bike because they never seen a trials rider before. So try to ride this, jump down this, jump this, and then no way, that's impossible, no way. So pretty soon they were like, they started calling me No Way Ray.
And you are doing no way possible things.
Yeah, impossible things. So I kind of stuck to this day, like 25 years later. I think 29ers are cool. It's not exactly my kind of bike. I have one already for 4 or 5 years because, of course, it's something new. I want to try it out, and I think they climb good. I think they're good in certain situations. I think they will become very popular, but I don't think they're going to take over. 26 will always be there, but it's just like an alternative. Sometimes.
Do you see advantages for this?
I think they climb very nicely and they roll, and it depends where you live. If it's not so steep, I think the 29ers is pretty good. But if it's very technical and stuff, I prefer the 26-inch bikes. Yeah. Well, you talent, timing, and you have to understand the business, how it works. Like it's at the end of the day, it's a business, and when somebody sponsors you, they want to get something back. So you need to find ways. And for riders, they usually race, and then they have the first place, and that's a prestige, and that means they get media exposure. I found ways to generate media exposure without necessarily racing anymore after my racing, and that's a great value to the sponsors, and it reaches a lot of people. And generating media exposure is just one thing, but then there's you have to be professional. But I think most important out of all these things is you have to just be passionate and live your dreams, and you have to fight for it. It's not easy to become a pro in mountain biking, but you find ways, and maybe you find ways to get a little co-sponsorship or do something, and then one thing leads to another. And at the end of the day, whatever you do, think about what does it do for the other people involved, for the media, for the sponsors, for the sport, and if it's good for all those things, then it will be good for you too. But if you just think about yourself and it doesn't work for everybody else, then it doesn't work. But it's possible. Live your dreams. I always say it, you can do it. Huntsway Adventure Team has been around for now over 12 years, and it was kind of a transition for me from competition to using my extreme biking skills in real situations. But I wanted to do like expeditions, real trips. So I've been to many different places, and I've done a few trips with Steve P together. He's a good friend of mine, and he always said, Hunt, let's do a trip in Scotland. We should go to the Isle of Skye. And then when Danny McCaskill arrived on the scene last year, he is from this island. He was born there. So we said, hey, let's invite him for a day or two, or maybe the whole trip. And he was completely stoked and stoked to be part of this. So we went there, and we just visited all these cool little islands and did some downhill rides, and everybody brought different bikes, and it was basically the 3 generations of riders, and it was like the young kid, the medium guy, and I was the old guy. But it was fun, and everybody brought a cross-country bike, everybody brought a downhill bike, everybody. Well, it's a great ancestor, but the funny is, it's according to the Guinness Book of World Records, it's the tallest person ever at 2 meters 42 centimeters, but it was 150 years ago, and he lived in. And he was a similar career than Danny, because he got really famous, and he went to the circus, and he even went to New York, and he was there, like he was an attraction. He was the strongest man in the world, and now Danny's father has a small museum dedicated to him, and on the Isle of Skye, and we went and visited there, and it was quite similar, the stories between Danny, who became really famous overnight, and to his ancestor, who became very famous because he was the strongest guy about 150 years ago. So that was a really nice twist to Danny's fantastic story. I mean, the kid is amazing. He lived the dream of everybody. You put a clip on YouTube and it becomes the most watched sports clip of all time. So it was nice. Yeah. Wheels for Life is a non-profit charity I started 5 years ago, and it was something I wanted to give something back to the sport. The sport has been very good to me. And I've traveled a lot to the third world countries, to Africa and China, and I've seen how the bikes have a completely different meaning there than in our world. For us it's sport or a toy or fun. And for them it can be survival, it can be, you know, like it can be transportation, it can be a matter of going to school or getting health care from a doctor or doing healthcare education. And I started out with one project and it started growing and growing, and now we've done over 80 projects in 20 different countries. We just finished the film. I can show you I can give you a DVD after. And we show one of our projects in Tanzania. We filmed it over 18 months. We show how important the bikes are and we show how we work as a charity, because everybody works volunteer. And it's a fantastic thing. It's fun to give something back, and I'm glad to be able to give something back to cyclists, because cycling has been great to me. You know? We usually buy the bikes in the country where they need it, because in Africa you can buy a bicycle for $100 or $150. If we buy the bikes there, we help the local economy. We save a lot of money in shipping and handling and no customs and all that stuff. And we work together with local charities and individuals who help us find the people who really need a bike. And often the children, they have to walk to school for 10 kilometers, or there's no jobs available. So when people have a bike, they can transport their products, their farm goods to the market. Often the market is also too far to walk, and with a bike you can carry 5 times more than you can on foot. And then the other target group is healthcare workers and doctors and people who do healthcare education.